Welcome to the B2T Show, where we empower Christian patriots with truth. This is Rick, your host. Here we are on Wednesday, September 16th. I was going to take tonight off, but no. Q posts 15 times and SB2 comes back on the scene. So we have to go live. And tomorrow night we'll be live on the webinar a little bit earlier. So probably around 7 p.m. CST is when we'll go live with the webinar. Actually, we'll go live at 7 p.m. with the webinar tomorrow. But today we're going to be talking about SB2 Returns, 15 new Q drops, getting into Antifa and the fires. As you can see with this truck right here, you can see these gas cans in the back here. And we're going to learn a lot about that. We're going to learn a lot about quite a few other things here. I want to quickly go to see let me know where you guys are from. I see quite a few people on right now. Kind of fun to see that. We got Julie Barnes, High Card. Looks like one was on the first. Proud Q Nana was on Washington State. I see. I'm just going to scroll through here real quick to see if I can catch up to see where everybody is from. We got Express Jennifer as the moderator on right now. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for being on. Canada, Canada, somebody says they're from. I like that. And as I scroll down, South Carolina is in the house. KC is in the house. Just jumped on me. Vancouver, BC, Littleton, Colorado. Loves Blessed to Teach. Bronco Nuggets says Tulsa, Oklahoma, New Orleans, El Paso, Texas, Palm Springs, Florida, Eastern Oregon. What do we see? Got more Florida, Arkansas in the house, Ontario, Canada, Alberta, another Alberta, two Albertas right in a row, Vancouver, Sydney, Australia. David, thank you for coming up all the way from Australia. Let's get rolling here. I'm going to actually show that the 9:14 we had a couple of drops, and 9:15 we didn't get anything, but 9:16 he just went to town with 15 different drops. Who knows if we'll get some more during the show here. And we'll go over these in a minute. I want to show you a couple of funny things before we get into these. And look at this. This is a meme. It has a picture of Joe Biden. It says, the Republicans may have standards, but we have double standards. These are the type of memes that you can just copy. Copy with in the Mac. It would be Control Option 4. I think it is Control Shift 4. Oops, not that one. Control Option 4, but I always do this, and so it's natural for me. I must have hit 3 there. Yeah, there it is. Control Option 4, or maybe it is Shift Option 4. I think I had Shift Command 4, and then you can just circle it like this, and the PC has different commands similar to this. Boom! Now I've got a picture that I can go post all over the different types of media such as Twitter, etc., etc. So just kind of show you that it's kind of fun to become a digital warrior. That's what digital warrior is all about. It's just getting memes out there because they have a really hard time actually suppressing this. Q gave us some other ways to put little black dots on some of this, or black squares, to actually continue to not be suppressed by Twitter. Here's a Lou tweet here. I thought that was so funny. Just says, hey, here's the crazies. Both Hillary shaking as well as Peter Strzok doing their little moves. It's like pretty wild. Yeah, pretty wild. Oh, my camera. You guys just let me know that my camera I have on the wrong one. Thanks for that. Properties. Let me just change that real quick. That was pretty wild. I did unplug and plug some cameras in. There I am. Here I am. Thanks for letting me know there about the camera being in the wrong spot there. Now we're set. And hey, with that, I'm gonna get into these Q posts right after talking about what the webinar is all about. This is big on my heart, is helping you become a better red pilling person, a better person to share truth of the gospel, a better person to understand the reliability of the Bible, really get good at it and practice it with a community of other people in a safe environment. In the impactor community, we're going to talk about it. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. And really, this course is for you even if you have been red pilled for 10 minutes or you've been red pilled your entire life, to actually get really good about sharing specific truths and because all of us can improve, right? And we're going to learn from each other, but you're going to learn this method that I have called Sharing Truth with Impact. This is going to be like a 90-page document that you're going to get to walk you through each of the, I think there's like 12 lessons. Take about an hour and a half a week to go through this course. But the most important part is we're going to be practicing together as a team, and you're going to have all this insight and all these events that we do with the community in the Impactor community. Let me just show you a quick video about that, and I'm going to give you the whole display here to show you this, and here we go.
This is mostly a protest.
Hydroxychloroquine is not effective.
We don't get real news.
Double-digit lead for Joe Biden.
We get controlled propaganda and talking points from an evil cabal.
I know nothing about this.
So I decided to fight back and focus on the fake news media by starting this YouTube channel, and I called it Blessed to Teach, to help teach truth versus lies. And here is a little 30-second. So I started learning of the struggles from my subscribers, and I learned they were frustrated in their efforts to actually share the truth. Many felt disrespected. Some felt lonely. Others felt helpless. Do you fall in any of those categories? I believe those that are being really successful at sharing truth with impact, that are really doing good at sharing truth to different types of people, they first focused on bonding with them. They develop a trust between them. They love them first. I want you to picture a day when you are confident with sharing truth with anyone. I want you to picture a day when a good friend or family member comes to you and says, "Thank you for sharing truth with me." I want you to picture a day when you have a community of Christian patriots that surround you and make you feel loved and supported. My name is Rick, and I believe that with proper training and practice, you don't need to feel disrespected, lonely, or helpless, but you can be appreciated, connected, and empowered. All right, that course has been a year in the making, really. I'm really excited about this again. So get the details. The webinar starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow. It really is something that won't take about an hour and a half to get through the lessons per week, and then we'll have a live training session with me to go over, and you'll be able to practice with the community, right? And you get to know a lot of other red-pilled Christian patriots that are really trying to get better at very specific items. Like, for instance, the second lesson gets into really assuring that people aren't trusting the news, aren't trusting the Mockingbird media. Because you can't get them off that, you're going to have a real hard time. But you have to bond and adjust first in the first lesson, right? We'll talk quite a bit about that. And then the third lesson gets into sharing how the Bible is reliable with the TAP method, the textual criticism, archaeology, prophecy, and actually how you share God's good news, which includes the right God, the right Jesus, and the right gospel, right? So that's going to be an awesome community, and join us tomorrow night. The cart will open early for that. There's also a referral program, so the yearly cost of the community can be free for you if you just get 3 people to kind of join as well. And it's kind of fun to take it with other people that you know, so I think you'll really enjoy it. So join me, the link's down below, STWI.blessedtoteach.com. STWI, which is sharing truth with impact, .blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed number 2 teach.com. All right, let's get rolling on all these Q posts. I'm probably going to start, I decided I'm going to start with the SB2, because I know that's the title that I put on here, before we get to all these Q drops, just because we haven't heard from him in 8 months. Let's see what he has to say. He says, God wins. So you thought the enemy successfully caused my silence? No, no, no. says SB2. Q, 1842. Never interfere with an enemy while he's in the process of destroying himself. Discovery. We discover, we analyze, we rectify. So if you go back, I believe that SB2 has not posted for over, I think it was, let me pull this over here. It's 8 months. So this is another look at what he says where we're talking about God wins. And if you can scroll down, you'll see the last one was a Hussein, a Colt 93 priest. Talking about that. That was 8 months ago. So we haven't heard from him for 8 months. So we discover, we analyze, we rectify. Q, 4618. Do not mistake silence for inaction. Q. With my devastating last articles about Colt 93, 9/11, the Bush portals, and Priest Hussein, enough was written for the enemy to panic and try whatever they could to stop the bleeding inflicted by the pen. Q, 1424. Follow the pen. Think timing. Coincidence. The attacks will only get worse. They are losing all control. Q. Q, 3217. Was this bait? Yes, it was. Now they lose, and we have it all. The Kobe Bryant hoax, the Chinese coronavirus occult attack designed to trigger impeachment and prevent prosecution, the George Floyd French card played here, the related shoe blood sacrifice and kneeling ritual, the no law portal symbolism, the Macron Cuomo nursing home sacrifice, the John Lewis Andromedus sacrifice, the Amal Clooney, the Elon Musk space debacle, the Biden empty vessel messenger. Did you figure it out? So a lot of stuff coming here. Just a second, I got to close this with some noise going on. Just close that door. Apologize. We got a new family in the house with all in the coronavirus. It makes it noisy. So Q924, the spirit cooking discovery is bigger than you know. Follow Maria. There's a reason the word conspiracy was pushed, the weapon against the awakening. Q. Assess the number of lives sacrificed to the coronavirus, entities, and reconcile with history. Remember 9/11, the Iraq wars, Vietnam, WW2. Go as far as the plague and WW1. Then go further. Study how the Caliphate and the Ottoman Empire ended. Why and how they tried to replace it with the ISIS Caliphate that the Maestro obliterated. Study the history of oil in the Middle East, how it was connected to Bretton Woods through the petrodollar, how they created the state of Israel, and how they purposely surrounded it with carefully created enemies to prevent Israel from knowing peace. Q947. Learn the hidden symbols. Q2624. Question. Q. Please tell us who or what the wizards and warlocks are. Answer. Guardians of intelligence. Q. If you solve this, you'll see the big picture summarizing that they've been at war against God and mankind for centuries, using occult knowledge and the help of extra-dimensional assets. In their stupidity, they thought they would be able to replace God and rule the world. They came up with a plan. God came up with a plan. At the end, as the Maestro would say about them, it didn't work out too well. Do you see it? We won. Open the schools. Clockwork. Q. 3913. Are you awake yet? Q. Q2450. We are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. That's what this whole sharing truth with impact is all about, by the way. That's right. Helping them see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. Q918. Wait until you learn who has been talking to you here. Q. Whew, there's a lot to unpack there that we could spend quite a bit of time on, but I wanted to kind of show one of them I think Lou posted on his Twitter, and it's right here. This is the kneeler ritual. So you see this is in classic form of what SB2 does with all the memes. It shows Colin Kaepernick here kneeling, and you'll see right here the SHU, S-H-U, the kneeler Egyptian mythology. Coincidence? And he shows the George Floyd, where the policeman was on his neck, kneeling again. Coincidence? He's pointing to those together, right? So this is the classical way he actually looks at this, and he kind of breaks down the ancient Egypt, the light of the world, Gerald Massey. But the Egyptian astronomical mythology, the god Shu is the kneeler personified. In this form, he portrayed upon the horizon or mount of dawn, stooping on bended knee to uplift the solar disk, or to bear it on its head. He who had uplifted the starry firmament with his two hands, or with his forked stick called his rod, now represented the force, the heaven that heaved up the sun in position of the kneeler. Ancient Egypt, the light of the world. Gerald Massey is talking about that. And then you see, look at who's kneeling here. Here's Nancy and all the Democrats with Chuck Schumer holding up a George Floyd thing. Nancy Pelosi and Democrat represent kneeling. There you go, Schumer, a close-up of Schumer kneeling. Here you have Minneapolis Mayor cries as he kneels by Floyd's casket. And then obviously you see empty vessel Biden kneeling. So his decode of this is, decoded message, they do not worship God. They follow ancient Egyptian beliefs and worship the sun. They sacrifice human blood and perform rituals in plain sight to satisfy the extra-dimensional entities they hope will help them remain in power. Through secret societies, they hire the required assets tasked to create the symbolic events they need to perform occult operations and advance their political agenda. Police officer with hand in pocket. It's right here. You'll see he's got his hand in his pocket. Police officer with hand in pocket, kneeling, waiting for cameras to record through multiple angles. Clear sound. Did you solve I Can't Breathe 106? It's in Biden's tweets. Hint, SpaceX. Happy hunting. So he gives another hunting advice there. And so there's quite a few other things if you scrolled up to the other parts of this decode that he did, where he did put a bunch of links in. So, and that's where I think Lou found this. Yeah, the shoe blood sacrifice and kneeling ritual. And here's the George Floyd card played here. I'm not sure what date this backs down to. Looks like this goes to a video. Not sure why it went to that video. But the point being is that there's quite a bit of other things to go look at. Here's the nursing home sacrifice look at. So we might spend some more time on this at a later time when we don't have so many Q posts to go through. But this points to quite a bit of other things. French President Emmanuel Macron's meeting interrupted by a dog taking a leak. So there's the dog right there that's taking the leak. I'm not sure what it has to do with the sacrifice, but anyway, we'll get into SB2 at a later time and digging into what he's really talking about with his training us how to understand the calms, as you will. All right, let's get to now the new Q drops for today. The first one was 4715, and we see this same guy that we've seen it a lot with all these different pictures, where here he is with the cop picking him up, and they're basically saying, hey, we're innocent, we're not out there starting fires, because why we have fire extinguishers here? See, we're innocent. And all these people have criminal records, and they're being obviously full-time anarchists is what their jobs are. You can see it because of their Instagram and other things which Q posts to. So this shows who the guy is and all the havoc he's all proud of. But then it says at FBI Portland Q. Now we know some of FBI was given misinformation. Now only trusted sources, and fires were not being actually purposely set. So there's at least one person in the Portland FBI office had a Twitter account that was telling a lie. But here, obviously, there's also FBI that are good there that Q's pointing to, I'm sure. But here you can just see from the Instagram account. Now he's closed most of these down. Oh, he closed it down. This is interesting. He made it private. He didn't want everybody to see it. That's funny. I'm sure there's all kinds of pictures of this already, but he was basically taking F the police and all kinds of things from the Instagram account. And I bet you this one's closed as well. It was a long video. It was like a 5-minute video that actually showed the fact that the police had pulled these guys over and they were acting like they were innocent, even though they were out setting fires. And so that's really what Q 4715 was. And part of the reason why we know that he is not innocent, this time we have a actual copy of this, and where Q got this from, we're not sure. This might be freaking Banks out, because this looks like a direct message, right? Which usually you can't see in public, and so this did not look like it was on the Instagram account. So if you look at this, it says, "And are they open?" So this goes, "Why are y'all trying to burn down the courthouse? I bet you were out looting too." And what does he say? "Because F the feds." Right? So F the cops, F the feds. This guy says, "Good rating it up with your gang." And it says, "No, I wish I was." So he's not with his gang right now. And that's why they're all effing y'all up. Good job, this guy says. "Yeah, I love Lewis and Rolex. Weird how they aren't, though. Feds already got ran out of town once. Poor guys." So just a good example there of who Banks really is. So this guy, I think that we saw right here, calls himself Banks and is obviously a paid anarchist, like thousands and thousands of others on George SORS payroll. We'll see how Fox News is trying to suppress that name. They don't want you to talk about that name. They wouldn't even let the prior Speaker of the House talk about it. Here's the next one, 4717, and we see this direct support PDX. Now he's trying to apologize for this, but you can see he's got the fist, which is the anarchist symbol to overthrow countries, even though it says DA support PDX. But in here, he's actually posting a picture that says, "Be water, spread fire." Spread fire. So this is this whole thing, and Q's basically saying, "Spread fire, Q." And so this guy's now gone on, if you go look at his Twitter account, apologizing for this because he got everybody all up against it. But it says, "Abolish ICE, BLM, Portland protest, PDX protest." It does say defend PDX, which really is interesting. I wonder if that's just a ploy, because obviously they're talking about having a huge march on the 15th and be water, spread fire. So he said that was there before the fire started and everything, but the whole point is more evidence that, yes, they are encouraging them to start fires. But we get more evidence later here about it being actually direct energy weapons that they actually admit to finally. So we finally have the official government, the actual Air Force, admitting to there are direct energy weapons, DEWs, that people used to say was a conspiracy theory. So now we know it's not. And so here's the picture I used for my thumbnail. This is a picture Q posted of gasoline tanks in there, right? Here's shovels to make sure the fire goes the way they want it to. It looks like a bunch of water bottles as well. It does have a fire extinguisher there. That's like, hey, if I get picked up, I'm out putting out fires, right? Or it could help, again, with the shovel and the fire extinguisher, try to direct the fire where they want it to go. And this is like fire emergency. So it looks like that might be some other type of fire suppression unit. But obviously gasoline and ready to go mess things up. And this says, "Ant with the cuts," it's called. "Heading back out to Clack and Escada to set some fires. Woot woot." So you can see same picture here. Oregon City fire season 2020. Oregon wildfire 2020. So here he is putting hashtags. It's like, yo, you have your boy open these messages. And so gas cans, nice. So basically a bunch of Antifa people. And so him sitting there trying to say they're putting out fires is a bunch of baloney. He actually admits to it right here. Heading back out to Clack and Escadia to set some fires. Woot woot, fire season. So obviously Q's pointing to them and letting them know. And then this says, well, looks like this dude has his truck bed loaded up to set fires. And this was a link. Looks like this Banks dude has his truck set to load fires too. And you can actually go see the actual tweet here from this guy. He apologized for the misspelling a little bit later, but people are saying start the show, TikTok with a bunch of popcorn. Yes, September 14th through 18th, September 21st through 25th. And remember, 18th through the 20th is that Jewish holiday, Rosh Hashanah, or I'm saying that wrong, that Amanda Grace talked about. Right, so this is exactly what she talked about. There's going to be all kinds of things coming out, and we're seeing it right now. We're going to get some more of that here as we go. So that is 4718. Moving to 4719, we see an anon posting here, and Q reposted, and it says, "Be water, spread fire." They're using the cover of sharing water, bringing water to first responders as cover to move around spreading fire. Sick bastards. So that is what that means. Be water. So you basically are saying, hey, I'm bringing water to the firefighters, and they actually go and put gasoline and destroy the hard work of these God-honoring firemen and women. Just really sick people, as this person says. That's 4719. 4720 gets into a Twitter here that says Q, and this tweet is breaking. DoD states that Russia and China have weaponized their satellites and directed energy weapons. I thought this was really interesting. This was a little eerie because I think there was this preacher that I haven't talked much about, but there was it went viral about 2 months ago, talking about how he had a vision that after the election there was going to be burning churches and Russian and Chinese troops on our land. Right? I rejected it completely. Number one, it's fear porn. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be exercising faith, not fear. And secondly, is that Russia's fighting the cabal with us, right? But this is interesting that they mentioned Russia here and China, and having direct energy weapons that were supposed to be a conspiracy theory. But we learned a lot about it here over these next few tweets or drops.
In space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
There you go. Direct energy weapons, he says. Listen to that.
Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
Woo! That is big, right? Because we all knew that. We saw 2 years ago the DEWs coming down and melting things and just not acting like natural fires at all. And we even saw a blue beam come down and all of a sudden something would start on fire, right? Rosh Hashanah, that was it, Juanita Smith. Thank you so much for reminding me of the Rosh Hashanah Jewish holiday that Amanda Grace was saying that there's going to be a lot of heat coming up between then. She was talking really about the deep state being exposed, and that's quite exciting. That's 4720, where we see the direct energy weapons actually being admitted here, and 4721 I think has the longer version of this, and this is the whole 14-minute video I think on Periscope.
We're gonna do that.
Oh no, this is a Tucker Carlson. So this is a Tucker Carlson 6-minute video, where this is a really interesting interview where she's got a thick accent, but she talks about and exposing the CCP of purposely creating a WEAPON, something that this video would be taken down if I said the whole word. So, but she clearly states that they purposely created this in the lab. It's not natural, and that they purposely actually released it and pushed it out to the world. It's like, whoa! So that is interesting.
SB2 virus actually is not from nature. It is a man-made virus created in the lab based on the China military discovered and owned the very unique bat coronavirus which cannot affect people, but after the modification, becomes a very harmful virus at now.
That's a China military that actually created it, right? That is a pretty huge revelation there. It's like, woo, woo, and she goes on and on talking about multiple things. Let's hear.
Government and also their friend in scientific world. So basically, this is very clearly that this virus is like Frankenstein. So he created those things like basically a cow has deer's head, has rabbit's ear, and also have monkey's hand. So
right that's talking about there is hybrids.
They can never get it from the nature. And there were evidence left in the genome. But the scientific world also keeps silence, work together with Chinese Communist Party. They don't want people to know this truth. Also, that's why I get suspended, I get suppression. I am the target that Chinese Communist Party won't be disappeared.
They want to disappear her. Not only to suppress her, they want to disappear her. So this is something we need to be praying for, obviously. And wow, she's being bold. And the fact that Tucker Carlson is being a truth bomb over the last couple months. And his ratings have gone through the roof because he's telling the truth. That's what the American people want right now. So it is really interesting to dig into this true whistleblower here versus the fake whistleblowers that the deep state brings out, right? So not only did it come from, they basically manufactured this puppy. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Okay, first, as I said, I have this kind of solid scientific evidence, and also my next report will come out soon to make you fully understand it is. The other thing is, I work in the WHO reference lab, which is the top coronavirus lab in the world in the University of Hong Kong. And since I get deeply into such investigation in secret from the early beginning of this outbreak, I had my intelligence because I also get my own unique network in China, involve the hospital, institute, and also government.
So this is the interesting part. She's calling out the WHO here. She's calling out the whole scientific community. And so there's different levels of red pilling, right? It's one thing about knowing that it's not just two towers fell on 9/11. There was a third tower, and that was a very important tower, right? That Tower 7 that fell, and the BBC News is sitting there talking about it falling when it's Tower 7 is just fell. We just got news about this, how horrible the third tower fell. And you look in the background and it's still up. So the fake news, the deep state news, the 4 a.m. talking points got to them too early, and they actually fell a few minutes later, about 15 minutes later actually. So 15 minutes before it fell, they're lying. So it just shows you that the different levels, it's not just the red pilling on what happened in 9/11 or what happened with the deep state controlling all these secret societies. Then you start getting to, oh my goodness, the entire scientific community's lying to us about climate change. They're lying to us about big pharma drugs, and they have a whole Western medicine system in here that treats symptoms and keeps you sick and actually makes you sick. I mean, with the chemicals and the chemtrails and the fluoride in the water and every way they can possibly think of making you sick and getting you addicted to all their big pharma drugs, which makes them millions with patents that come in. The whole system is a big pharma fraud, which is completely separate from the fraud that we have in the big companies that they all own, the big tech that we have in the Western, the whole academia systems that they've taken over. So it was a miracle on November 6, 2016. And we did another miracle on November 3rd, 2020. And I believe the Lord is telling us that we are going to have that, but we need to be faithfully praying in faith that that's going to happen, because they are trying to rig the election is what they're trying to do. So let's listen to this a little bit more.
Everything that every evidence point to the lab origins, and also clearly try to make people like me want to talk about the truth get disappeared.
That's right. They're going to try to disappear everyone that's talking like this, but now they got a lot more to worry about than just her, right? Because now they're being exposed everywhere as people are starting to understand this. And by the way, this whole virus thing, right, and the vaccination, we know that this is a planned demic, which she just talked about, to planned riots where they released criminals in between and then put a mask mandate to hide the criminals. And that's now failing as well. So you had the failure of the pandemic. The planned riots are starting to fail. If you look at true polling of like the African American community, etc., they know they've lost, and so they have to. And we've also closed the loopholes electronically in the George Soros voting machines. So the only way they can win now is to have massive fraud on a manual scale, since they can't do it electronically anymore. So that's why they are pushing the post office, etc. And Amanda Grace's prophecy or word from the Lord was amazing, talking about how there's postal workers that are going to be exposed that aren't postal workers, that are fraudulent people in there to destroy mail. Obviously talking about the votes. So Republican votes would get destroyed, or from Republican districts. Interesting. 4722, it says add it all up. 1, virus. 2, riots, organized Antifa. 3, fires. The why. And this is interesting because we're going to watch a video here in a second, but it says, make no mistake, they will not concede on election night. And here is this video that Q is pointing us to. And it's a 4-minute video, but it's another Tucker Carlson video, so you can tell he is hot on giving truth bombs. I'm going to go to where they bring in this guy talking about the color revolution.
As clearly as you can, what you think is going on right now in this election. What's the end game for Democrats?
Yes, thank you for having me. Many have described the actions taken against Trump as a coup. And this is certainly correct, but it's a little bit general and vague. What's unfolding before our eyes is a very specific type of coup called the color revolution. It's a regime change model favored by many in our national security apparatus, particularly against Eastern European countries, to overthrow, target regimes that they don't like. One model, which is not the color revolution model, is purely sending a bunch of troops into a country and removing by military force a leader you don't like. That's like the Iraq model.
Right.
The color revolution model is a little bit more delicate and subtle. It has several characteristics, but the chief characteristics of it is a combination of an engineered contested elections scenario combined with massive mobilized protests, which they call, as a term of art, peaceful protests and acts of civil disobedience. If that sounds familiar, it gets even better.
It's right where they are, right there. Isn't that just amazing to see that? And actually you see Q say, make no mistake, they will not concede on election night. Make no mistake, they will contest this legally in battleground states. Make no mistake, they will project doubt in the election results. Make no mistake, they will organize massive riots and attempt anarchy to 99 design playbook known. So this anarchy to 99 design playbook known. Q. Woo! And that video goes pretty deep into actually what we think is going on. And it's hard for me to flip back to that, so let me just reload it real quick. But there's some stuff later that he gets into interesting.
To use against democratically elected President Donald Trump. It's the same people using the very same playbook. Now, I'd like to talk about one of the key figures in this operation, a nexus point not only between color revolutions overseas and the color revolution against Trump, but a nexus point between lawfare and mass mobilization and so-called peaceful protests. This is a man by the name of Norm Eisen. Norm Eisen is a key legal...
Norm Eisen, so we got to remember that name. So I think Q's pointing us to that, where this dude is is the one that actually did a ton of stuff with Obama, was actually on the Ethics Council of all things. But let's get a little more of this.
Hatchet man, Democrat operative, former Obama ethics czar, believe it or not. And he is also a key architect of nearly every effort to censor, sue, impeach, and overthrow the president. He is the author of, in fact, a color revolution playbook, literally called the playbook. And one of the items he calls for in his playbook to overthrow regimes overseas he doesn't like is engineering election fraud scenarios, using election fraud to engineer mass protests to question the legitimacy of the target leader.
And this is all projection, obviously. We know they're planning on election fraud and trying to plan to do every bit of fraud they possibly can. And then they're going to blame fraud on the people actually do with truth and try to use the fake news media, their 4 a.m. talking points, and the power of their Hollywood influencers, the actors, as well as you've got the sports famous people, the famous artists that are singing, etc., to all coalesce and try to create a civil war is what their goal is. So that's why waking people up is so vital at this point in time. This is a window of opportunity where people are actually know something's wrong and they're starting to question things, and people that never cared about politics or never cared about conspiracy type of items are actually starting to open up. So this is the time to train yourself, and that's why we're rolling out the course, Sharing Truth with Impact. Make sure you see the link down below. Make sure you come to the webinar tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Time. All right, and that is an interesting 4722. We move to set 4733, and we see Anon posts this John Kaplan tweet. It says AG Barr tells prosecutors to consider charging violent protesters with sedition. Woo, that is good. Yes. And then it has the actual link to the tweet if you want to go actually get that right here. And there's a lot of people going, Carly's going, yeah, Pepe's shaking his head. And you can, where we go one, we go all. Here it says a picture there against that huge wall in Washington, D.C. You've got it's time. So a lot of memes down below all these tweets. That's one of the reasons I think Q posts all those tweets to show there's a lot of people behind this movement. And then Q amplifies on it and says, the media is complicit. Now that's the most blunt I think he's ever been. The media is complicit. Fact checkers created to reinforce the same narrative, propaganda they themselves created. Reminds me of the old wrap-up smear, right? Social media censors terminate, silence anti-narrative accounts. Echo. System of control. Mission, keep the public controlled and in the dark. Information warfare. Q. Woohoo! Tell you what, that is a blunt message from Q there, talking about the fact that this is recognized by AG Barr and that these protesters are committing sedition. This is pure treason, and that is becoming extremely clear to those that are awake. 4724. Why did it take an outsider to finally deliver the start of peace in the Middle East? Why did it take an outsider to finally deliver the start of peace in the Middle East? News coverage? Front pages? Missile strikes attempt to terminate? Peace doesn't sell. War, fear does. Dollar, 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 evil and corruption, and highest levels. Evil and corruption at highest levels. Q. I always like to count how many of these we get. So, looks like it's not going to let me do it real easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's $20 signs, and war, fear does. Peace doesn't sell. War and fear does, with $20 signs. And so I'm not sure exactly what adds up to, but and what he's insinuating there and what that's code for. But almost all of these things have code and multiple meanings, so it's really interesting to see as people start digging into that. But this is this Middle Eastern peace process. We just had, as you know, United Arab Emirates. Now we have Bahrain coming into it. Is historic But I know Amanda warned where the Lord told her in the Word of God, I think 3 or so word from the Lord's ago, if you will, from Amanda, right? I think it was a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago by now, that the Lord wasn't real happy with that peace deal, right? So we'll see from a perspective of they're just trying to, Israel's being blessed financially right now by the Lord. You can just see that. So is the United States, right? And so they're just trying to get a piece of the action, right? With a greed intent, not necessarily a peace intent. So we'll see how all that plays out. That's 47.24. Now I move to 47, a big long one, 47.25. Where there's a lot of anon posts are here. The first anon post is Catherine Heritage from CBS News, used to be Fox News. It seems to be a real key person with the pen, where we're following the pen, and is continuing to really expose Spygate in a big way. So new things came out today. Omissions plus the court have found violations of the government's duty of candor in all 4, my emphasis, applications. So these are talking about the 4 applications to spy on Carter Page that would allow them to spy on the entire Trump campaign, right? And then we're going to learn that the Hammer not only spied on the Trump campaign, but also the Cruz campaign and pretty much any political enemy, judges, and on federal, state levels. So what Obama did with the Hammer, which we I believe based on the decode Gene did, I think yesterday, was actually, or the day before maybe it was, where Gene did his part 13 of the decode of the deep underground military bases, clearly shows that we have now taken back the Hammer, because that was located in one of those deep underground military bases. Those who are backstage, make sure you go to the exclusive content. You'll have the entire PDF of the entire decode that Gene did on the update for the USA. And he's going to go into a lot of secret technologies and really deep stuff. You're going to have an open mind on next Tuesday on his Gene exclusive, which he does a 2-hour show, 2 to 4 hour show every month for one big show. And this one's going to really dig into what's really going on be underneath those bases that he can't talk about on front stage. All right. And so but he does want you, which is a reminder, he wants you to look at 3 or 4 decodes or information to understand. You won't understand a lot of what he's talking about unless you really get to the other shows that he did, these exclusives. So one of them has to do with the secret. With the vastness of space. Another one is talking about the Trinity, and that's throughout all the world, right? The truth of the Trinity of God is just a truth, as well as just the way the world works in many ways. And there's also some other things such as the sevens, and looking at the way Satan works, etc. So there's several. We're putting that into Robert's working on an awesome thing to actually put. We're going to call Backstage Basics, because there's a lot of new members. That's why I'm spending some time on it right now to let you guys know that will consolidate some of that type of stuff for you in one spot. That'll probably be ready. We're hoping on Saturday or so. At least most of those videos will be in one spot for you. But you'll be able to find them if you search around. There's several search tools you can use. But this is interesting. So this is 4725, Catherine Heritage, talking about all 4 of the FISA, the request, which are secret court documents where the defendant can't even defend themselves, right? So you're basically supposed to go through the Woods procedures to make sure that you are not violating procedures. They blew through all of that. And they lied to the court. We know that very clearly now. It says, release of court opinion related to the temporary retention, use, and disclosure of unlawful FISA collection. So she actually attaches this document. That's a 4 or 5 page document that basically summarizes and saying that they did lack candor and that any of that information should not be being used by intelligence agencies that they got from those. Because why? Because they lied to the FISA court to get them. Then they broke through all the Woods procedures, and it's going to be incredibly obvious. And then here's the links to these actual tweets, which is nice because then you can obviously love them and retweet them yourself. And then you can obviously go down and see other people actually doing cool memes below. Oh my, such a corrupt previous administration. Obamagate, Bidengate. That's kind of a pretty cool meme there. But these are the type of memes that really can wake people up when they see them. Launch the memes, this person says. Great awakening, right? That's the type of thing that we need to be doing as digital soldiers. So I really suggest everybody gets a Twitter account and follows the 60 people that I have. I think there's a free download still that you'll see above my head every once in a while. That I think it's impactculturenow.com. You go there and you'll be able to download the 60 people I follow. And a lot of them have been deplatformed, and some of them have actually turned into controlled opposition. Kevin Shipp is one that I recommend you do not follow. There's another one that the account got disabled, but that's basically turned as well. I was trying to remember what that was. It was something about educating liberals. I think that was another one. So a couple of those, I'll be updating that list probably next month after we get through this Twitter, I guess censoring madness they're going through right now. So we'll see. Forgive my ignorance, but didn't we already know this information? Ray was supposed to clean it up. Have I missed something? Yeah, so that's another thing is Director Ray obviously is showing himself to be compromised as well. And you see another link to that whole document if you want to have the actual original source. They call that the sauce, right? And then here you have a Wall Street article, a Wall Street Journal article. Correction will be needed. All surveillance regarding POTUS hops will be concluded that there was insufficient predication to establish probable cause. So if you didn't have a predicate, right, you can't open up an investigation, and that's why this was criminal from the beginning. And let me get out of that here. Let's see. I thought it was just a picture, not a link. So let me back up. There we are. And that was just a bunch of different things posted by Q. One of these was a 1/23/20 post right back, just reminding us of this Wall Street Journal article. It said, Justice Department believes it lacked legal basis for continued surveillance of Trump advisor. And he said correction will be needed because all surveillance regarding POTUS will be shown to be criminal activity. That's exactly what's going on. That's 4725. 4726 has a Department of Defense link. It says military satellite application. So this is that longer video, I believe. It's a 14-minute-er. Let's see if this is the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, this is a Periscope video. Oops. Looks like I dropped that link somehow. A lot of links open right now on my computer. And so this is the 11-minute, actually it's an 11-minute video of him talking about all kinds of things, and the 135 mark I think is what we already listened to.
Seek to erode our long-standing dominance in air power through long-range fires, anti-access aerial denial systems, and other asymmetric capabilities designed to counter our strengths. Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
Directed energy weapons. Directed energy weapons. Again, that's the bigger, longer video that you'll see there. And he points to that 135 mark that just talked about directed energy weapons. DEW. D-E-W. Now, and here's another video on this. This is the Air Force harnessing the power of directed energy. I'm going to blow this up. AFRL megawatt class airborne laser and its transitioning game-changing counter-electronic weapons technology. Doing this for the people on the podcast. Harnessing the power of the electronic spectrum to enable airmen and to effectively and affordably strike critical targets at the speed of light. DE, directed energy. Directed energy also enables experimentation, prototyping, and exploration of material and non-material solutions that align with force capabilities and strategies. The Air Force is focusing on directed energy. technologies that amplify enduring attributes of air power, speed, range, flexibility, and precision. The two classes of DE weapons, high-energy lasers and high-powered microwave systems, give the Air Force the capability to engage targets at substantial ranges with precision and reduced collateral damage. In high-energy laser systems, rather than using a kinetic laser as a bullet or bomb, a laser beam creates an effective on-target. High-powered microwave systems transmit a short, extremely high power burst of energy to create a wide range of effects on a target, often electronics. DE weapons will offer the war fighter speed of light delivery, multiple target engagements, deep magazines, low cost per shot, exceptional accuracy, and lower logistical support. That is the aeronautical.com video. Pretty interesting, isn't it? I think I misread one thing. I said magazine when it was something else when I just was glancing at it. Often electronics. DE weapons will offer the war fighting speed of light delivery, multiple target engagements, deep magazines. It is magazines. Low cost and lower exceptional accuracy and lower logistical support. Yeah, so I did get that right. Interesting video. Woo! Tell you what, DEWs are no longer a conspiracy theory. Remember, conspiracy theory was a psyop in 1967 to keep from the 1964 from the whole Warren Commission that was started in 1964, and people were rejecting the Warren Commission report because it was actually prepared by Alan Dulles, who was actually fired by JFK, and he said the very person who probably orchestrated his assassination is actually doing the investigation into it. That's sad what the Warren Commission was all about. People started rejecting it, talking about all these other theories that seemed much more plausible. And what did they do? They used the word conspiracy theory as a psyop on the American nation to control them, to control you. And that's what we're going to get your friends and family off of. People that you want to share truth with impact on. Is making sure they understand the 4AM talking points. They understand they're being lied to and controlled. And understanding the word conspiracy theory, and that's a psyop, is really important for anybody. Or you're going to have Rachel Maddow override you if you ever try to talk to somebody till you're blue in the face with all these facts. It's not going to help you if they trust Rachel Maddow, if they trust Anderson Cooper, if they trust Don Lemon, if they trust any of these magazines such as obviously the Washington Post, or the papers like Washington Post and New York Times and all these other magazines like Time Magazine. If they trust that information, you're going to make no progress in sharing truth with impact. That's why we will start with getting them off Mockingbird Media and starting getting them to think for themselves about Mockingbird Media. That will be the perfect thing to have in your hands when you need it, right? That's why I'm excited about tomorrow night. All right, let's get into a little bit more of this. That was the military satellite applications, Q, 4626. Then we move into 4627. We see Victoria's Secret reportedly continued to work with a modeling agency after it was accused of supplying underage girls to Jeffrey Epstein. So this is an article back in July of 2019, but Q's just reposting it to remind us that Epstein was working with that Lexner or whatever his name is from Victoria's Secret, who really was one of the major funders of Jeffrey Epstein. So Victoria's Secret was a major player in all this. Les Wexner, I think, 4727. Now we move to a bunch of more pictures. It was 4728, and you see the prince with another Epstein victim. Here he is as well. I think Praying Medic gave some sauce on exactly where some of these pictures came from, and interesting stuff. It'll be interesting as people start doing more research on the file names and everything else, because there's usually code within these as the Anons start digging, and it's really interesting. Here Q repost the picture of Bill Clinton. And this is like they're refueling. I think it was while they were refueling the Lolita Express, to the island, and him getting a massage by one of the Epstein victims. And interesting stuff. That's 4729. And the last one that before the show started was 4730. And this is a picture of a Mickey Mouse watch pointing to 1009. So that's really interesting. So, obviously everybody's kind of contemplating, what could that be? Is that something big going to happen about Disney being exposed on 10/9, October 9th? Or it could mean 100 other things. I mean, it could even be a year from now, or a 2-year delta, right? But anyway, these are always interesting because future proves past on usually these things that are when we're looking at an actual clock. And let me refresh to see if we have anything else. I'm also going to come over to this other one because it seems to refresh better. And on September 16th, looks like the last one is 4730. Whew, took us a whole hour, but we got through it all. I could probably spend another hour on all the news I was looking at. There's a couple key ones before we wrap up I wanted to show you, though. We saw that Catherine Heritage actually got into some more stuff on the special counsel probe. Now read this inventory. So basically find that all these missing phones. So Catherine Heritage is reporting on that as well. And that the Mueller investigation people, these 27 phones or more that all of a sudden got wiped. And the FOIA basically said, entered a password too many times, wiped his phone, phone wiped itself without intervention, plus restored, just a bunch of crap. And so this is the unredacted, the redacted information that we got that I think Judicial Watch actually got. This is restored to factory settings, plus accidentally wiped cell phone, data lost, just a bunch of liars. The actual prosecutors trying to frame Trump were actually committing crimes themselves, and now the cover-up is often worse than the crime. That's happening right before our eyes. This is interesting. I got to show you this before we run. Is this video right here of Fox News suppressing George Soros?
Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this. I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Yeah, so two of them actually interrupt him twice.
So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to... Okay, we're going to move.
Yeah, so those odd pause where they won't even let you talk about him. That's how horrible Fox News is getting as controlled opposition. It's important to understand how controlled opposition is there. And there's a lot of other great news that's coming and just things being revealed. Trump was on with George Stephanopoulos talking about, I'm fighting a battle. It's a big battlefield and I have a lot of forces against me. I have the media. Sometimes you don't have time to be totally, as you would say, presidential. This is fighting George Soros as well as the media. And we see the CCP also had working with Pakistan. There's just all kinds of things going on. We had a second QAnon supporter wins the Republican Senate primary. That's exciting. Here's a Michigan group surpasses signature needed for petition against Governor Whitmer's emergency powers. Over 400,000 signatures collected when only 340,000 were needed. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. We see that Mueller's team had Lisa Page's phone it claimed was lost, that the emails actually show. So as they reveal more, it's just showing the deep, deep corruption of the Mueller probe. The deep, deep corruption of this cabal is coming unraveled. It is really interesting to see how that happens. Here's a bunch of anti-maskers in Florida are in Target telling people to take their mask off. That's kind of cute. You can kind of go see that. That'll be in the show notes. We have Lieutenant Governor Danforth calls for North Carolina schools to reopen, and if he wins, he would actually end up. I think he's going for governor, I believe, and he would actually remove a lot of these North Carolina restrictions the Democrat has in there now. So, that's what we have here. So, hey, go to my website, blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2teach.com. If you look at the menu, there's just a ton to get in there. Number one is you can just sign up for show notes down here right at the bottom, get the source information, and have everything in the morning, U.S. time, being delivered to your email. You can actually watch the video if you watch a recording of it and have all the show notes right there with you at the same time. So that's a nice feature. And then obviously we have Backstage. If you upgrade to Gene Unleashed, he'll be doing the Tuesday secret decode on the actual DUMBs, on the whole U.S. DUMBs, what's really going on some of these bases. He's going to have pictures as well as talking about some subjects that are considered conspiracy theories right now. And lo and behold, we know what that term is trying to stop. But that'll be something that you need to prepare for and watch other videos and get some bases down before you join that if you want to get to Gene Unleashed. Gene Unleashed is not for everybody. It has to be people with extremely open minds. So only join there if you are really going to have that with an open mind. And then there's also the course right here. I'm hoping that right here is linking to the webinar now. I don't know if we've updated that. But or you can just go, nope, it's not. This you'll still get. This will give you your email. I'll make sure that's changed after the show here to be pointing to the webinar, and that you actually can join tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Just go to stwi.blessed2teach.com. That'll get you there. And so I'll just show you that real quick just to show you that it is working. stwi.blessed2teach.com. And that's sharing truth with impact. And that'll get you to be able to register for the webinar, which is tomorrow at 7 o'clock. 19 hours away. All right. With all that, how exciting. How exciting to see what's going on right now. I always want to end with some scripture. So I'm just going to pull up Bible.com right now. Again, that's where I read scripture, but then you also can pull up BibleMemory.com, and that's where all my favorite verses are. In fact, I'll just go there. It's not the best interface but it's got a better mobile app. So if you go again to BibleMemory.com, see if it's going to have me logged in or not. And yeah, there it is. And so I'm not logged in right now. Hopefully it'll allow me to log in. Let's see, there it is. So now I'm logged into this BibleMemory.com. You can see I have 68 verses here, B2T verses. But I think you had to search if you go to groups. I think right here, groups. See where it says groups up here, and you search Blessed to Teach. There's a lot of groups here. But you just go Control F, say Blessed to Teach. This time with a TO. You'll see here is where my group is. And you click that, and you can actually see those 68 verses, change them up, all that type of stuff. It's kind of a cool situation where you'll be able to see my verses. There's BTT verses right here. And there they are. So Joshua 1, Joshua 1:9, Joshua 1:8, and all my 68 verses that I regularly review and memorize, right? And you might just want to do one per month or one every couple weeks. It's a beautiful thing. We talked about Romans 3:23 and Romans 6:23 yesterday. Some of the most awesome verses there are in the Bible. Ephesians 2:8 and 9 is one of my favorites as well. But you can see it takes this here and it says, here it is. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And that is not of yourselves. It is a gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. And it'll track here if you get over 90% or not. So if you go to master it, it's blank. I got to remember what that was. But what's kind of cool is you can memorize it. It does every other word. So this, and then the next time you memorize it, it's the opposite words. So it's a great way to help you memorize scripture and get it in your heart. So in Ephesians 2:8-9, here it is, every other word. So I can, and I have it set to where I just type the first letter of each word. So I put F, and it says, yeah, that's right. For it is by grace you have been saved. You see, I'm hitting this first letter of each word. This is what you do on your phone too. And so, for his grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourself. It is the gift of God. So you can see it's got me at 100% right now on when I'm doing this every other word thing right now. It is not, I'll make a mistake to show you can see it. It is not by the gift of God, but, so I put but versus not, right? Not by works, so that no one can boast. Ephesians 2, 8 through 9. Boom, I got 6 points for that. Then it gives you points. And it's really a cute way to help. It shows I was 94% on this verse. And since it was over 90%, I've passed it, right? And so obviously you could master it's a lot harder because you don't see anything there. But it's a great way to just type it where you see the whole verse, memorize it where you see half the words, and then master it where you just do it from the beginning to see if you can actually put this word of God in your heart. But this is a pretty cool verse. Again, for it is grace. It is by grace you have been saved through faith, not by works, right? And this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. That's the narrow path. If you don't understand Ephesians 2, 8, and 9, you don't understand how the true gospel, the one true gospel, right? And that is what Satan attacks. He hates this true gospel. So memorizing Ephesians 2, 8, and 9 is a beautiful verse. A couple of verses to memorize. If you want to memorize those, should be go to BibleMemory.com or load it down on your phone, BibleMemory.com. You'll find it there as well. With that, let me pray and we'll wrap it up. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for Ephesians 2, 8, and 9, just the whole Word of God that you give us. And we know that the Word of God is the sword of the Spirit as well. Lord, that's our offensive weapon when we dress up in the armor of God. May we do that, especially these next couple of months, because it's going to get rough. Lord, even the man of grace said to prepare. That he gives us information, that the Lord gives us information to prepare, to get ready to potentially have the lights out, to potentially have the food and water, to have the ammunition or whatever you need to be protected, so you can be without food and water without the ability to go to the store and get around for weeks maybe. Lord, help us prepare, help us do, but be in absolute faith that you are going to pull us through this, Lord, that you are going to rescue us because you are our refuge. Thank you, Lord. Use us in this time period. And we love you, Lord, and we say these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys, thank you so much. Hey, join me backstage if you have a backstage pass. We'll be back there here in just a second. And with that, if you haven't joined, join and want to be on Unleashed, make sure you go to backstage on the website, blessed2teach.com, blessed with the number 2, teach.com. But most importantly, make sure you're there tomorrow for the webinar and learn about this course and how you'll get this 90-page booklet to help you become incredibly good at sharing truth with impact. Become an impactor with me and the group. Let's become impactors together. All right, God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time. You've just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, backstage with Blessed to Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessed2teach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.